everyone. Welcome back to Voices of Western, the Humans of Western podcast. If you're new, welcome. This is a podcast where we dive deeper into the personal lives of students, staff, and faculty at Western University. So before we begin, we wanted to thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to our episode. So my name is Milan, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Ria.
Thanks, Milan. So today is going to be one of our special episodes where it's just going to be Milan and I, your co-hosts. We're going to be feeling all the feels as the school year comes to an end. So we're going to be wrapping up our last episodes together, as sad as that is. And to help out, we did some snooping and gathered some information from you guys, from all the Mustangs around campus about what you guys thought of the school year. So the first question that we had for all of you was, what was the best memory this year for me?
I don't know. Okay, like for me, Ria, I feel like my best memory, I think is like the teams and like the clubs I have joined. Like for instance, like this is my first year being a Don, and on top of that, like I like running this like podcast committee. I think the connections I made just from joining these teams, and also just like the students I met, like everyone I met through these clubs, I think that would be like the best memory I had this year. Like everything that comes with it, like the new friends I made, and yeah, like meeting you. I think like just all these little things I would say is like just joining like the initiatives here on campus. I think that would be like my best memory this year.
Yeah, I totally feel you because like sometimes you think back on it and you're like, I would have never met these amazing people if I hadn't joined this team or like this club or something. And you just make like the best memories with them because it's like you're there with your own choice. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you get to put time into those relationships, which is awesome. Um, Honestly, I kind of got to echo what you're feeling because for me, there's like two main ones that kind of tie as like the best memory. The first one is like it has to do with a class that I'm in right now. It's this med sci course for community engaged learning. What we did one day for like our last class together is we went to the alumni hall gym and they had this virtual reality type of setup. It was really cool. Yeah. So
Cool.
it was like to have us empathize and take a perspective of someone who was experiencing homelessness. So we put the headset on and it's just like you would walk around and like the story would start playing. And that's not even what my favorite part was. It was just that at the end, we all came together as a class, sat on the seats in the gym, and it felt so much like high school. Like when the prof goes around and she just like asks, like what did you learn, or like what part stood out to you, and everyone said such influential stuff that it just like stuck with you. Even the prof was just like, whoa, that was deep. So it was a really, really nice wraparound moment for the end of the year when like you could tell that everyone was more comfortable with each other, things like that. And then my second memory has to be just like I met someone through this dance team I'm a part of as well. And just being able to go out at like any cultural event or wherever and just dancing your heart out, like there's no other feeling like it. So I have to say those are my two favorite memories.
Oh my God, no, those are amazing, Ria. And also, like, yeah, I like how you mentioned the idea of it being feeling like high school again. I think like even I can echo that too, joining like the teams I'm in too. Because when like for instance, like when you're up a dawn, you go through all this training and at the end of the day you like come together and you have your supervisors and you just like talk it out and you talk it out with your classmates and you don't really get that like in that lecture kind of environment, especially for me since I'm only in second year, so all my classes are like big and like it's lecture room. But
Right.
yeah, no, like I can imagine how amazing that feels. Also, that's so cool how you did a virtual reality and in how and like just to like understand how it feels like to be homeless. That's amazing. But yeah, no, that's so cool, yeah. And also I really like the idea of like dancing your heart out with someone. Yeah, no, I can imagine that being so cool.
There's so much I'm gonna miss from this year.
Mm.
But going back to like whatever answers we got from our poll that we put out on Instagram. So one of the Mustangs that replied to us said that their favorite memory or their best memory from this year was playing on UC Hill, which I'm gonna assume takes a lot of stamina considering the like steep incline of UCL, but that's a pretty cool memory to have as well.
Mm-hmm. And playing on like playing it on like on the UC Hill, especially in the snow time, I think that can be like really fun.
Yeah.
Um, and also like kind of scary too with all the geese there. But but yeah, no, I echo that too. Like playing on UC Hill, that would have been amazing. But yeah, I think now Ria, I think I have a question for you. What are three words you can use to describe this past school year?
Ooh, okay. Three words. The first one to come to mind is probably roller coaster. And then I have to say empathy. It's a med side me. And then the third one I have to say is like closure. So with roller coaster, I just feel like this year had me in so many different emotional states at like different points, like literally within the same day. I'd go and like text one of my friends with like this whole ass paragraph being like, this is how I'm feeling. And then like half an hour later, I'd like go back and like delete it and be like,
Oh
I
no.
overreacted. And then I don't know, it's just like I can like vividly like I can go through my Spotify playlist and tell what I was feeling at what time of the year. So it's like the whole thing, different emotional states. And then also I think I said empathy. That's because all of the content that I learned this year, it was all about putting yourself into other people's shoes, especially for like marginalized populations around London. So individuals like experiencing homelessness or substance use disorder, just like populations that normally aren't really considered when you're taking a look at things from like a medical sciences perspective. And I think it really helped to shape me into like somebody who thinks more about what other people are feeling or whatever conditions they're going through. And it was just really a big shift for me. And then the last one was closure. I think that this year I did end up like running into a lot of people that I met back in first year, kind of having like, you know, that closed loop type of thing where it's like you start off a relationship and then you want to be able to finish it off. But even for people who like I didn't get to meet, I still got to like reach out to them over text, or then if I didn't get to communicate with them, I kind of like reminded myself that some people are there to make an impact at like some point in your life, and that's okay. Because then you still get to carry forward those memories with you. And that was enough closure for me. So I think those are the three words I would go with. What about you?
That's amazing, Ria. No, I'm like just getting like emotional just hearing about that, those three words. But yeah, no, I think for me, the first word would be I don't want to use the same word, but I also really think for me was a roller coaster. This whole year, like the amount of like ups and downs and just like a lot of unexpected events. I think for me, I was much more busier this year than in my first year.
Mhm.
So, and then like I think that was also a good thing. Like I was very occupied
Yeah.
this year because last year too, we were bus sent back home for like that 2 months for COVID. I think this was like the first full year where like we didn't have to like go back home for COVID. I still remember, I think I forget which month, but like probably in February or March. That was when like the mask mandate got lifted. So it's like I think like still like this was the first full year where I didn't need to like worry too much about COVID coming back. I was like actually a student here at university. So yeah, I think like that whole like transition was like a big roller coaster ride. And I think my second word would be flexibility. I think I learned so much this year that how like how to be flexible with whatever changes are going around me, but also to still keep prioritizing myself. I think I think that's what I learned the most this year is like how to like balance the two, because usually I'll be like very flexible, like don't like if someone needs me, I'll be like, yeah, I'm here. But I think I learned how to like make sure like my mental health is in check and make sure I have time for myself. So I think I learned a lot how to do that this year. But yeah, and then I think my third word would be Hmm. I think relationships. I think I developed so many relationships this year. Like I met so many people and I maintained so many like grew so many relationships from last year. And I'm hoping to also like grow those same relationships, continuing it on to like next year and like meet new people. And I think it was the relationships I made this year that made the year that my second year so eventful. So I'm very thankful for that. And thank you, Ria, for sharing that. That was amazing. And I think some of the three words that our Mustangs have shared is short, stressful, and fun. I 100% agree with that too. Second year for me was very, very short. This year in general was very short. It fly by so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and another Mustang said growth, friendship, and learning. Yeah, I can see that. Um, yeah, there was a lot of growth this year
That
for me
sounds so
too.
similar to what you said as well. Like they're
Mhm.
like synonyms for what you said in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we both went through the same year. And someone else said purple and proud. I love that. I love the Western spirit. Let's go.
That's
And the last one is very much unexpected. Yes, I can understand that as
that
well.
sounds like a book title.
Yeah,
Very much
it does.
unexpected.
Maybe whoever wrote that down, you should probably write a book about it. Who knows?
It's very poetic. That's funny. But yeah, thanks for sharing. I think that really did get us in our feels, just going through and reflecting back on everything that this year was all about. But going off of that, we also asked everyone how they would rate this year. So, Milan, how would you rate this year?
I would give it I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. And
7.5. Huh.
mhm, like I think this year overall was a pretty good year. Like sure there were those downs, but I feel like academically, like mentally, and also socially, I've been able to like have that balance this year. So yeah, like maybe like yeah, like I wouldn't say like a 10 because like of those downs, but I'd say a good 7.5 I would rate this past year.
That's a good number to go with. And that's literally like what people put into like we got a response saying like 7.5 out of 10, which is I feel like an agreeable number. And I gotta say, like I would agree. Like I would go with like 7.5 or like 8.5 around there. Just because again, there's always like room for improvement, but it's also just like I know that there was so much learning that took place this year. And I feel like because we were on campus all year, we finally got to see people's faces because the masks got lifted, like the mask mandate got lifted. And it was just obviously I know it was for like safety concerns, but we got to that point in COVID where we knew it was safe enough for that to happen. And I think that was a big landmark where it felt like university was the experience that it was originally meant to be again. So it's really great to see that.
It was, and I fully echo that, Ria. And I think our last question for this episode is if you could travel back to the beginning of the year, what advice would you give yourself?
Ooh, oh my God. Okay. I'm gonna go and travel back to first year instead of this year.
For
So
sure.
I think one thing that I would definitely tell myself, and this goes off of what you were talking about with relationships and meeting up with people or like meeting people through different teams, is probably to dedicate more time towards like other people instead of just prioritizing class or academic related things, because giving other people time helps you grow those relationships. And it's just like you know that you're gonna have someone there to like if you have this moment that's like super awkward on campus or like something that makes you laugh out loud, you know that there's someone there that you can just like grab at your phone, or like you if they're with you, there's someone to turn to and tell about that moment. Like you want to have someone there to share that moment with you. So that's something I would tell myself, is just like go back in time and maybe put more into your relationship. So I'm really glad to hear that you're doing that, because that's like the one thing I would definitely tell myself to do. What
Mhm.
about you?
No, first of all, I love that, Ria, and I think you have all the right to like go back to the future, to your past first yourself, and tell that. And yeah, no, I agree. I think like the meeting the people you meet also helps you like build more connections. Like when it comes to your career, social life, I think is an amazing thing to be socially active and just like have that buddy system. I think that's like absolutely incredible to have, especially at university with such a big campus. And yeah, I think for me, if I were to go back to September of 2022, I think the biggest advice I would give myself is um, everything is temporary. And I know Sunday said this in our last podcast, but I really wish I heard this advice in September 2022 because I think like there yeah like there were those moments for me this year. It's like, oh my god, like this is the deal breaker, or I was like, oh no, like what am I going to do next? But really like after like like here like right me at this moment right now, Sunday, April 9th, I'm like, yeah, no, like everything worked out the way it did. Like even though like I was in like my little own stress bubble in the night, just thinking to myself how is like the next day gonna work out. I think like at the end of the day it did work out. Maybe it wasn't to my favor, maybe it was to my favor, but I'm still here. Like I still woke up today morning. And I think that's what I would tell myself. I'll be like, "Hey, like this may seem like the biggest thing in the world right now, but just give it some time. You get to the finish line one way or another." And yeah, I think that's what I would tell myself.
That's really, honestly, that's really impactful, because being able to be farsighted like that
Mm.
takes a long time. And then once you do start thinking that way, you're just like, why didn't I do this earlier? So I love how you brought that up as being like that one piece of advice that you would definitely give yourself. And I would agree. I think that's something that everyone should kind of consider, although it can be hard in the moment, but it takes time to practice that kind of like mindset. But once you get it, it makes all the difference.
It does. It really does. And yeah, I'm glad that like I can like try to like think like, hey, like just probably like is don't stress too much right now. Just like take it one step at a time. Just one foot in front of the other. That's all you need to do. And
Exactly.
yeah, exactly. And and some of our viewers also gave amazing advice too. So the first one said, "Be kind to yourself because you're not responsible for other actions." Um, yeah, I can agree to that too. Being kind to yourself is so important, and it's so important for your mental health. So yeah, no, I echo that.
Mhm.
And put less pressure on yourself to be perfect.
Oh my God, preach.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I think yeah, like it's always in your mindset to like always like aim for that 100 in everything you do, but we're human. We can be perfect in everything. So
Yeah.
I agree with that.
And it kind of reminds me of something that I saw recently. It was just like, stop trying to be perfect. Just focus on being your favorite self.
Yeah, I
I
love
know,
that.
I know it sounds cheesy, but honestly, like once you have that shift, or like you try to think that way, it puts less pressure on yourself. Like, sure, work hard, but do it in a way where you're comfortable with yourself, you know?
Mhm. No, I agree. And actually that it's a great transition to our last comment from one of our Mustangs is enjoy the process. The assignments and exams will go by anyway. I think that just echoed your point, Ria. Yeah, like focus on like yeah, I think focus on the process because you're going to get it done. So maybe like like learn from it, I guess. And I think that's advice I probably should take too, studying for my exams this season. But yeah, no, like these assignments, I guess can be stressful, can get annoying too. But yeah, no, I can see that. Enjoying the process. I think that's what really makes the assignment matter at the end of the day.
Yeah, like enjoy the process, feel whatever you need to. Like
Mhm.
don't let someone tell you like, "Oh, you shouldn't be feeling this way." No, because whatever you're feeling is valid and it's normal to like experience that roller coaster like we brought up. It's totally normal. Yeah, it's just it takes a lot to actually like focus on whatever your goals are and things like that.
I agree.
That brings us to the end of our questions for today and also the end of our little journey of recording episodes together. Um so I hope that you guys learned a lot from today's episode and that you bring forward some of the advice that our viewers gave as you go through exam season. And we wish you all a whole bunch of luck for whatever you have ahead of you. But for now, you can find us on any podcast platform that you use, including Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube. So thank you again for joining us for our last episode.
Thank you guys.